our story starts with Tanjiro Kamado heading into a village to sell coal. And the reason for this is so that him and his family can continue living the life they want to live. Enjoyment. That is what Tanjiro brings to every single person that he comes across. But throughout this time, throughout his years, he started realizing that he was developing powers that he didn't know much about. His father didn't leave him much to basically know about these powers. His mother didn't know much, and his siblings obviously knew nothing. And all he could do is try to figure out the best of his abilities. He's able to utilize electricity or even lightning to a certain extent, and he mostly just used this power to start fires for them or to kind of do certain things that would help them just survive in a normal day-to-day basis, so it would save them a decent amount of time. And it would be the same idea when he would go to different villages and stuff like that. He would help out without them realizing or without them noticing, him utilizing basically his power. But after helping out this entire village, after selling all of his coal, and after helping out as much as he can, he would stay over at a man's place, him basically telling Tanjiro that it's actually not safe to go up the mountain alone, at least during the night, and he would listen to the man, but this would lead to him eventually arriving at his household with the smell of blood all around him, smelling only blood. As he races up there, as he races up to his house, he sees that his whole family is gone. His whole family has been killed, and it saddens him to his absolute core. But one person is surviving, that's of Nezuko. And immediately Tanjiro would run off, running toward Nezuko, grabbing her, thinking that she has to be okay, that she has to be all right, and she's actually still alive. So he grabs her, takes her away, runs her off, and eventually she would awaken, but she would awaken as a demon, pushing him off the mountain, landing on the ground in the snow, and he has to basically fight off his own sister by the name of Nezuko. And it seems like he has to fend her off and try his best not to be eaten and not to be killed, leading to an actual demon slayer by the name of Giyu Tomoyoka eventually arriving and stopping this onslaught. And initially, he goes for the kill of Nezuko, but Tanjiro pleads to him, don't kill his sister, don't hurt her. And eventually he would basically be told by Giyu when he grabs Nezuko that he has a choice to be made. What is he going to do? How is he going to do it? And how is he going to save his sister? And Tanjiro tries his best, throwing his axe into the sky without him noticing, and even attacks him as a frontal assault and shocking him with lightning. Yes, this would shock Giyu, but he would have enough awareness to break through it. As he breaks through it, the axe would almost hit him, charged with lightning itself, smashing into the tree behind him and obliterating half the tree instantly. He would immediately be shocked, thinking that this kid is more special than he thought in the first place, especially after he sees his sister Nezuko, a demon, protect him. This would shock him wildly, thinking that this doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense, but at the same time, he realizes that this demon is far from what it's supposed to be, leading to him telling Nezuko and Tanjiro to head off to the mountain to find Urokodaki and learn from him the ways of water breathing. And during this kind of journey, he would get a pseudo box for Nezuko, a place to keep her under, away from the sun. And eventually he would arrive near the mountain of where Urokodaki is, and he would stumble across the temple demon. And he would fend off the temple demon pretty basic here. He would use his lightning, and also Nezuko being formidable herself, they would together be able to take on and stun the demon long enough until Urokodaki arrives and shows him how to defeat a demon, aka shows him how to utilize the sun to defeat a demon. And this is where his training would begin, with Urokodaki, with the obviously the ghosts or the kind of spirits, of Sabito and Makomo. All of these things would occur, but one thing would be certain: Urokodaki would see the absolute power in the lightning that is basically in the power of Tanjiro Kamado. And this lightning would be kind of ridiculous in terms of how strong, in terms of how fast it makes him just naturally. And it seems like everything is going to be on the up and up as he learns how to use concentration breathing, and on top of that, while he learns how to use water breathing as well. And through the training of Urokodaki, Sabito, and Makomo, he finally would eventually learn how to use water breathing, but he would realize that he would begin combining it and see very, very, very good fruits of his labor in combining it with his lightning powers, turning the normal water surface slash of the first form into a thunderous water surface slash, which changes it to where it has this crackling lightning threaded throughout the water, or threaded throughout the attack, leading to him actually giving or gaining far more power than normal. It seems like the power itself with the lightning is even allowing him to utilize the element of water as well, allowing him to slice through many things a lot easier, and even slice through a giant boulder, an even bigger one than normal, and do it very, very easily. And all this is in preparation for one thing, and that preparation is the final exam. The final exam is upon them, and it's two what looks to be little girls talking, but these are actual adults to an extent, and they're basically explaining the final exam. You gotta live throughout a week on a demon-infested mountain, and Tanjiro has no issues with doing so. And when the final exam would begin, he would have no struggle taking out some of these lower level demons and lower tier demons, eventually hearing the calls and the kind of helpless kind of screams of different demon slayers, or at least future demon slayers. And Tanjiro would jump into action, slaying what we know as the hand demon in one foul swoop. Tanjiro being able to utilize another form that he basically has, another form known as Water Wheel. But obviously the second form, known as Water Wheel normally, is actually enhanced by something known as, well, his lightning, in turn turning it into something known as Flash Current Flow. And it allows him to, yes, have the Water Wheel, but that is the ending of his attack. It adds zigzagging and fast dashing all around, where Tanjiro is able to streak lightning crackling all around him, making it basically impossible for his enemy to predict, leading to the hand demon not knowing where Tanjiro is, especially at the time of him going for the neck of him and basically slaying him in one foul swoop, leading to Tanjiro actually defeating the hand demon, and defeating him quick enough and also concise enough to where he's able to prepare himself for whatever is to come very, very soon. And this would lead Tanjiro throughout the rest of the time on this mountain to slay demon after demon and creature after creature. And Tanjiro would help as many demon slayers as he possibly can, leading to him to be at the very end where he's able to get his his Nichirin ore and pick out based on his sense of smell. As he picks one out, he would stop a person from actually, hurting another or hurting one of the girls that are basically helping out with the whole exam portion of this whole thing. It basically stops him entirely. Now, he doesn't really know who this is, and he's not sure who he is in general, but he must be somewhat strong since that, he made it this far. But Tanjiro thinks that he definitely is going to be meeting up with him sooner rather than later, but for now, he's going to leave it as is because he doesn't want anything to do with a guy that's going to treat other people in such a way. This leads to him going back to Urokodaki's place and seeing Nezuko being awakened, or Nezuko being basically awake once again from her long slumber. And after this long slumber, obviously Tanjiro is able to meet up with Urokodaki, meet up with Nezuko, and get prepared for his Demon Slayer journey. Getting his sword with his Nichirin blade, and preparing himself for the future. Gaining a blade that is actually completely black. Now, this normally isn't very good, but Tanjiro sees kind of the good in having this type of blade, believing that there's more to it than most people believe, and there's more to it than the possibility, right? And Tanjiro is excited and prepared to embark on his first mission because he knows this is making it so he's one step closer to curing Nezuko. And his first mission, well, it's at a village learning of some sort of swamp demon that is taking girls. And this would lead him to meeting with someone by the name of Kazumi. And when he talks to him and learns more, he realizes that the demon will most likely come this night. And it seems like these kind of creatures continue to show up day in and day out. And he's going to make sure he stays long enough to see what's going on and stays long enough to make sure he can stop this thing right here and right now. And that's what he does. He awaits the arrival of this demon and awaits it to basically take another person. And as Tanjiro gets kind of word of where this demon is, he prepares himself to basically conquer the demon as quick as possible, leading to Tanjiro finding where the demon is, where it actually is trying to take the girl, and stopping the demon entirely, stopping the demon from actually taking the girl. But he also finds that these little swamp-like puddles that he's using is something that he should pay attention to. Yes, he might not be able to save whoever got captured a long time ago because they're long gone, but the next time he goes through it, he could shock him to his core. And that is what Tanjiro ends up doing, shocking the demon to its core, utilizing one of his forms, and a form that he created, obviously, and he used earlier, thunderous water surface slash. As he slashes, the lightning and the crackling would even kind of go off toward the portals, and it would stop the swamp demon from just jumping in and out of what basically reality is itself, allowing the swamp demon to be stunned entirely. And with one foul swoop, without even Nezuko's help mostly, because I mean, yes, Nezuko did help out to an extent, but he really didn't need the help to a large extent, where he would slice through the neck of the swamp demon, defeating him and asking him one last time before he goes where Muzan Kibutsuji is, wondering where that foul demon truly is. And of course, the eyes of this swamp demon would be in shock and would be terrified. And at the end of the day, he wouldn't say a word. He would leave and be gone in the dust, leading to Tanjiro looking off into his next mission to investigate a city that never sleeps. And the last thing he would expect is to come across that same demon, the demon he's been looking for, and the creature or the monster he's been looking for, other known as Muzan. Tanjiro would approach this demon, and as he approaches him, he tries to get a word out, tries to talk to him, tries to say something, telling him that he's not going to get away with what he's been getting away with, and that he will fall to his blade, and that the thunder and the crackling and the lightning will guarantee it. In which he would immediately look at Tanjiro weirdly and think that this guy is an idiot. He's an absolute idiot. There's no way he thinks that he can defeat him. But as Tanjiro is saying these things to him, and as Muzan is slowly but surely realizing something, he realizes the little earpieces on Tanjiro. The things hanging off from his earlobes are something he's seen before. Something that someone has worn before. And this scares him. So much so that Muzan turns a man into a demon, so basically distract Tanjiro from him and to get away entirely, because he's worried about what Tanjiro can really do. And that right there is a pretty fair assessment, because Tanjiro is no joke, even if he's not fully prepared to take on someone like Muzan. But seeing the eyes of Yorichi once again scared him to his core, and what makes him wonder if this kid is the real deal. But obviously, some time would pass. Tanjiro would meet up with Yushiro and also meet Lady Tamayao, learning who they are, what they are, and that they're demons, and also that they're trying to create something completely different. And Tanjiro tells her that he wants a cure, that he wants to make a cure and help his sister and turn her back human, in which Lady Tamayao is completely up with helping. But of course, that is not going to be as easy as you think, even behind kind of the magical kind of abilities that are hiding this area at the moment, because Susumaru and Yahaba are about to arrive on a hunt for the one they know as Tanjiro Kamado. And Tanjiro, well, he stands ready for the arrival of these two and stands ready for anything that is thrown his way. And he has to be ready because Tanjiro begins to see that they are no joke. Initially, a lot of these demons he's fought so far have been kind of, well, easy to handle and very, very simple. But they're a lot faster, a lot quicker. But Tanjiro knows that he can still turn up the heat to a crazy degree, and he makes a very, very good statement out of, well, the first person that would attack him, and he would show the first person that would attack him basically that he is ready, that he is prepared, and that his capabilities are far from a joke, because he flat out sends Susumaru immediately into oblivion, immediately sends her into nothingness, getting an opening with one of his abilities, the third form, Raging Thunder Whirlpool, electrifying the surrounding around them, creating a vortex that is pulling all the enemies, or basically mostly just her at the moment, and blasts an electrical force straight through the neck of the demon, leading to one demon being only left over, being that of Yahaba. And this would shock him entirely, thinking that Tanjiro, well, he's no joke, but this is not what they expected. This is far from what they expected. And Tanjiro makes quick work of the one-on-one, and with the help of Nezuko, Yushiro, and Lere Tamayao, it's obvious that his capabilities and his abilities in general allow him to have a massive leg up on the competition and a leg up on the demons that were sent by Muzan himself. Now, as all this is said and done, there's so much more for Tanjiro to get ahead on, and well, this would lead him to actually meeting someone by the name of Zenitsu, and also meeting him while he's groveling and crying to this woman or this girl to basically marry him. Tanjiro thinks that he's kind of odd, like, why are you doing that? And tells him that they're going to go on a mission together. Of course, Zenitsu's thinking, no, do not pull me on this mission, but they head off to a mansion together to help two little kids find their brother. But what they didn't know what they were jumping into and going into is a mansion that is full of demons themselves. And Tanjiro's group, and well, many others, get split up, and Tanjiro has an encounter with a demon known as Kyogai. Now, obviously Zenitsu is handling his own business, and also, well, Inosuke, or this guy with a boar head, would eventually arrive as well. But Tanjiro would stand up to Kyogai and also stand up to Inosuke, telling him to basically go find another demon to fight if he's just going to basically add trouble to what they're trying to get into. And Tanjiro tells Kyogai that they are going to need his blood for the future, and if he was a part of the 12 Kizuki at one point, then he must be pretty damn powerful. But Tanjiro's speed is the big factor in this fight, especially when Tanjiro is able to actually send lightning his way, slowing down his movements and slowing down the ability to hit drums and hit different things that would normally allow him to kind of change the battlefield, change what's going on all around him. And Tanjiro halts it entirely, like completely stops him from utilizing it, leading to Tanjiro being able to close that distance quicker than normal, and leading him to actually finding a massive opening. But throughout this battle, he shows off a form that he hasn't shown so much, a form that he's obviously combined with water breathing and also his ability to use lightning. And it's, for the most part, an interesting form. It's a constant kind of flow or a constant flux of some sort, but he turns it into what, well, he knows or sees as a dance, a storm surge dance. His sixth form, it allows him to flow in a circular, almost beautiful motion or kind of dance that allows him to dance around the battlefield. Tanjiro moves like water, but also enacts electricity and lightning, overwhelming whatever's in front of him, making it so that all the other person sees is different after images of Tanjiro dancing and moving throughout different locations, and he can't even get a grasp on what's happening. As this is happening, he's being surrounded by flowing water and also obviously lightning, leading to Tanjiro overwhelming the senses of Kyogai and finding a way to cut off his head and defeating one of the former members of the 12 Kizuki. And this, of course, would shock Kyogai entirely. I mean, at the end of the day, he thought that he had a leg up on Tanjiro. He thought he was stronger than him. He thought he was better, faster, and all the above. But Tanjiro showed one little thing, and now he's able to defeat him. But this is telling the demons very soon, especially if Muzan gives them information, that Tanjiro has otherworldly powers. Powers that they didn't expect in the first place. And those powers include lightning, like literal lightning. Now, after cutting through Kyogai, Tanjiro would continue looking around the mansion to help out with the little kid that they're looking for, but also help out with other demon slayers. But as he's searching through, it seems like everything was getting cleaned up pretty damn quickly, and his kind of help wasn't necessarily needed. And as this all finishes up, he heads out with to see Zenitsu actually protecting the box with Nezuko, as Inosuke is trying his best to get through it. Inosuke would even attack Tanjiro, and his unorthodox style even gives him trouble. But Tanjiro is able to land one hit, a singular hit, that has shocks, gets sent through Inosuke and affect him to the core where he can't use his bodily functions normally. Tanjiro chops him on the head and even headbutts him and tells him to calm down and to stop doing what he's doing, and that they have time to, reconcile, figure things out, and come together and basically lead them down the right path so that they can figure out what's going on. And this allows them to basically talk about what's happening, and Tanjiro to explain why he cares so much about the box that has a demon in it. In which this does lead them to kind of going off to meet an old lady that would allow them to kind of get reacquainted, reassociated, and also get some food and some rest that they desperately need in a nearby place. Because the next day, they're going to have to head off to Mount Natagumo, which that is going to be the place where they're going to have the most daunting and their most kind of insane task that is going to be ahead of them. Because there are a lot of demons on that mountain, and there are far too many demon slayers that are going missing day in and day out because of this mountain specifically. Now, with the mountain or Mount Natagumo having a lot of issues and a lot of things going on, the three of them would head up, and the first thing that they would see when they would investigate is actually puppets that were, or demon slayers that are turned into puppets. Tanjiro would be shocked to see this and would even try to cut through the webbing. And Inosuke, obviously, with Zenitsu being left behind, because Zenitsu's, tripping out and crying and blah, 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 but it'll eventually come around. Tanjiro and Inosuke, would actually try to cut through these webbings, realizing that it's really not that simple. And they would even try to take out, kind of like the little spiders and stuff like that. They would do their best overall, but they would find their way eventually through these kind of puppets, leading to them eventually, after defeating through these puppets, or at least trying to get through the way of them and help them out, eventually meeting with the mother spider demon's doll. But Tanjiro and Inosuke together seem to overwhelm this kind of creature that they're able to slice in half with the help of Inosuke, and Tanjiro setting him up with his lightning abilities, and these seem to be pretty easy to deal with to an extent, leading to the mother spider demon, where Tanjiro is able to quickly, like when I mean quickly, dash in with one of his forms. Now this form is more of like a nicer form, you could say. His fifth form of water breathing is known as Blessed Rain after the drought, and it seems like combined with his abilities of lightning allows him to be a lot faster and a lot quicker, just doesn't amp the damage because this is meant to be a strike that necessarily doesn't hurt, leading to obviously Tanjiro being able to defeat the Mother Spider Demon in one foul swoop and actually not hurting her necessarily, allowing her allowing her to go on to the afterlife with no things kind of in between. Now, after that fight with the Mother Spider Demon, it's only right that they have to take on the Father Spider Demon, and Tanjiro is able to help a lot more with his enhanced ability and his enhanced speed. Tanjiro's abilities and speed have him really keeping up with this Father Spider Demon, but all it takes is one false move and he gets smacked away, and he tries to regather himself and about to actually jump back up to actually help out Inosuke, but then he realizes that there's another demon standing right next to him or right in front of him, and this is going to be the battle he's going to have to take on. And this would be Rui. And Rui's standing there, making fun of, messing with, and also talking smack to the daughter Spider Demon, basically telling her that she's useless, borderline. And basically Tanjiro jumps in after she leaves, telling him that he shouldn't speak to his sister in that way. It doesn't matter if they're a demon or not. And Rui says that all he cares about for his family is to protect them, but also to make sure that they are competent. And what it seems to him is that the girl or the sister he has within that box is far more competent than that sister that he just cast away. And it seems like she's gonna be the one that needs to be added to the family. Tanjiro shakes his head and says that's the last thing he'll say about his sister, and they begin to fight. And this will be the hardest fight to date that Tanjiro will go through. He is emptying the entire kitchen sink, basically showing off form after form, ability after ability. His usage of lightning helps him drastically with keeping up, if not outspeeding Rui to an extent, but this isn't enough, or at least not enough to fully end him, because Tanjiro in one foul swoop would cut the neck off of Rui, but would realize quickly that he's not done, because Rui would pick up Nezuko, showing that he actually cut his own neck off and showing that he actually has the power to grab onto Nezuko and string her up within the trees. And that exactly is what's happening. He has her tied up within the trees and hurting, bleeding. And Tanjiro wants to do something, has to do something, and he charges at Rui in one foul swoop. The lightning crackles, but the water dissipates, steaming up to nothing, and the flames would emerge. Tanjiro's lightning and sun breathing, it seems, what they would see as fire, would emerge, and Tanjiro would charge forward with his lightning and sun breathing, or at least the beginning of it, the Hinokimi Kagura, and he would go to strike Rui. And of course, Nezuko would awaken her blood demon arts, sending flames through her own blood, leading to an opening for Rui, and this strike this time is not one he's going to miss. Cutting through the head of Rui, the neck, and then even slicing multiple times, and introducing a faster, more kind of effective way to use his lightning and his lightning-based speed by cutting through the neck and the head of Rui multiple times, so that there is no mistakes, there is no kind of idea of coming back, and finally, it's the end of Rui. And this is the end of one of the members of the 12 Kizuki, a powerful member to an extent, but not the last person and the last level of high level of demon that Tanjiro will be facing, at least not until later. Now, Tanjiro finishes up here, defeating that demon, and honestly, Giyu shows up and he's impressed. He's there to assist Tanjiro, but it seems like Tanjiro didn't need the help, and Tanjiro is ushering Nezuko into his box. And as he's getting her set up and ready to leave, he realizes that someone else is coming, about to strike through the box itself. Tanjiro would immediately speed up and clash with the blade, seeing that this is Kanao. Giyu would basically try to get her to stop for a moment, but Shinobu would come out of nowhere as well, go to strike the box. And Giyu would strike at her blade, telling her to stop and trying to get her to stop, as a fight would break out between a 2v2 of the students of Urokodaki and also Kanao and Shinobu, basically the butterfly kind of sisters. And as this fight is occurring, they're clashing and they're really going head to head, and eventually a realization would occur as the crows would be cawing, telling everybody to stop their fight and telling everybody that the master of all the demon slayers wants to see and speak with Nezuko and obviously Tanjiro. This would lead to them all, being kind of taken away, and Tanjiro being kind of put in some sort of containment where he would be kind of roped up, right? Tied up with a rope with his hands, kind of like cuffs in a way. And when he would arrive and they would get there, he would be kind of trialed and asked by the Hashira why he's doing what he did and what's going on and blah, blah, blah. And a lot of convincing it would take, of course, but eventually everybody would realize that Nezuko is not a bad demon necessarily, at least to an extent, but the Wind Hashira is far, far from completely understanding, even leading to him attacking Nezuko and trying to show that basically she won't resist his blood. But after Ubuyashiki shuts it all down, and after all this is happening or kind of completed, now it's finally time for him to stop discrediting Nezuko, as she denies the blood from him, and as Urokodaki and Giyu Tomioka basically sign off on the idea of Nezuko being an official demon slayer, leading to Tanjiro and Nezuko being very happy about their situation and leading to them being ready for the training that will eventually ensue in their rehabilitation. Now, as the rehabilitation would begin, and as Tanjiro would begin his training, a lot of questions would happen around him and his powers, around his lightning, and also his usage of the Hinokimi Kagura. This would be questions and a lot of things he wants to know, and after all the rehabilitation, after showing off his lightning abilities, Ubuyashiki is pretty damn not only impressed, but also have a realization that Tanjiro might be that next step in what demon slayers can be. Now, yes, for a while he thought this was going to be a weak patch of demon slayers, far from the demon slayers that they needed to actually defeat the up-and-coming demons. But this might be what they needed. Tanjiro Kamado and his powers of lightning, and whatever he's talking about in terms of some sort of double breathing style, might be the next kind of generation of powerful demon slayers that they really are looking for. And Tanjiro, well, he's obviously looking for answers, not only with his lightning, but also with his ability of sun breathing. And he's told that the Flame Hashira might have more information, but he's already on a mission at the Mugen train, and it's somewhere that they can definitely join. And after rehabilitation, is over and said and done with, it seems like Tanjiro, Nezuko, Inosuke, and Zenitsu are prepared to head off to the train to meet this so-called Hashira, the Flame Hashira. And as they arrive, they meet a man that is happy, excited, and smiling always. Someone who you would never think would hurt a fly, but would obviously have the full capabilities to defeat a demon, as portrayed when a demon would show up on the train and he would defeat it in one foul swoop. And honestly, his movements, his abilities, and his capabilities are beautiful. Something that Tanjiro, Nezuko, Zenitsu, and Inosuke are realizing quickly, that this guy is the real deal, and he might just have all the answers that Tanjiro is seeking for. But what he doesn't know is that this train is going to be his biggest test ever. And what he doesn't know is that somebody else outside of this train demon is hunting him. But that is for the next part, and, well, the final part of what if Tanjiro had lightning powers. Tanjiro, Kamado, and, well, Inosuke and Zenitsu just watched Kyojuro Rengoku take out a demon in basically one foul swoop. But what they don't know is that they're about to be put under an absolute sleep, a spell of some sorts that's going to send Tanjiro back to the world he once knew. And he begins to have dinner with his family, has people around him that he once knew, and everything that he knew up until, well, you know, what happened, it seemed as if everything was just a dream. But as he progresses throughout this so-called dream, he would soon realize that it was not just a dream. Everything he saw, everything that happened, every last bit of it was real. And the death of his family was more real than you could possibly imagine. And he was not going to allow that to just disappear into nothingness. Because he knew what an eternal sleep meant, and he knew that he needed to wake up for the sake of his friends. And eventually, it would lead to him waking up through a very unorthodox way of actually doing so, and he would have to do so by basically ex-naying himself within his sleep, and then waking up and seeing that his friends and many others are also under kind of that same sleep-like spell. But Tanjiro, he's not thinking about anything else but just stopping what's happening. He tries to wake up, the people around, Nezuko being already awoken or already awake, and he knows that he has to get to the front of the train as soon as possible. And that's exactly what Tanjiro is going to do. He immediately races toward the front of the train, and he meets the demon that's doing all of this, being that of Enmu. And quickly, Tanjiro is able to slice the neck off of Enmu, but he realizes quickly that isn't actually the way to defeat Enmu. So he has to look further with what he is doing, and he uses his insane speed and his lightning abilities to get to the point of attack that he needs to. He cuts through the entire train. All of that training that he's been doing, all of that power that he's been observing, and all of the things that he's been going through, it seems like it's only helping him to a large degree. And Tanjiro, well, he's ready for whatever is going to happen. He is ready for any power, any kind of demon that he needs to handle, and he's ready for anything that is going to eventually be an issue / kind of problem for him. And he knows that he has to really be helpful in any regard he possibly can, because, well, the other people with him, they might be out of commission, at least for the time being, but Tanjiro is not. And he goes to the front of the train, and he looks for that perfect spot where the demon's head or neck would be. And as he cuts through with his thunderous slashes, the demon Enmu can even hear the thunderous kind of slashes that is being coursed through the entirety of the train. And it's in shock. The demon's in shock at the speed that it's portraying, or that he's portraying, something that he wasn't expecting, and something that, frankly, nobody was. Because the level that Tanjiro's at this moment is far above than what he was. It seems like all that rehabilitation training has helped him to a degree that, well, not even Tanjiro really expected, making it so he's basically outclassing not only Enmu, but far outclassing the demon he even slightly struggled with, being that of Rui. And Enmu, well, he is nothing in the wake of Tanjiro. The combination of water breathing and lightning, the lightning powers that he portrays, is enough for him to close the distance on exactly what he needs to do and cut through the neck of Enmu, who is hiding within the front of the train, dealing a massive strike of this insane lightning surge. And it would be utilizing his fifth form, utilizing something he calls his his flashing tidal fang, in which he would, in one foul swoop, rapidly kind of strike lightning fast thrusts that would be coated in this flowing water. And as he does so, as he makes all of these slashes at the same time, it's so fast that everybody Enmu actually thinks it's all happening all at one time. And this would shock Enmu entirely. I mean, at the end of the day, he didn't expect Tanjiro to be this quick, and to watch his plan, watch everything he's worked for fail and crumble is shocking in its entirety. But this was not the only plan that the demons had, because it seems like Enmu was not the end-all be-all for this train, because there's another demon that has just arrived with a 3 in his eyes, and his name is Akaza. Akaza is a scary foe, a foe that Tanjiro looks at as one of the strongest demons to ever live. And Rengoku tells everybody to stand back and not do a single thing. But Tanjiro tells him that he could help, he could do something, and Rengoku says that he may be strong, he may be powerful, he may have some insane potential, but that's what it is. His potential is not completed yet. And Rengoku's, he thinks that his is. His peak is already upon them. And if he can't take down Akaza, then so be it. And if he dies on this battlefield, so be it. But at least they have Tanjiro for future fights and future chances. And Tanjiro's training is far from finished, and they need him alive. And Akaza basically tells him that that's a good idea. Maybe he should stand back and do nothing and watch as the flame Hashira perishes right in front of him. And Tanjiro stands there as he watches one of the most epic fights he's ever seen. Kyojuro Rengoku versus Akaza, the upper 3 demon. And this would be a shocking one. One to the point where he eventually watches Akaza defeat Rengoku, but Rengoku is stalling out as long as he possibly can, making it known that yes, he may not be on the level of Akaza, but his will itself is pushing him forward, pushing him to whatever extent he needs to get to, and pushing him to the point where he wants to stop or can stop this demon. Holding Akaza still, holding him still, even though the wounds are getting worse and worse for Rengoku. And eventually, Rengoku would fall, and Akaza would go running as the sun would begin to arise. Tanjiro would try his best to strike through Akaza, even cutting off a piece of Akaza himself, cutting through his arm, in which he misses just barely the neck of Akaza, cutting through the half part of his body, and he would tell Akaza to stop running like a coward. And as he's saying these things, Akaza is thinking that none of this is because of him. None of this. He's not running because of him. He's running because of the sun. And he's pissed off at this. He wants to turn around and fight right now, but he knows he can't. And Tanjiro stands there, wondering if he should have jumped in on that fight. He listened to the words of Rengoku, but maybe he shouldn't have. Maybe he should have helped. Maybe he should have done something. But that's a choice, and that's something that not only Rengoku will live with, or will die with, and Tanjiro is going to have to live with that choice and live with the idea that he took every single aspect of Rengoku to heart. Rengoku told him to stay put. Rengoku said that he needs to have this battle, that this is his battle, and that Tanjiro is the future of all demon slayers, and well, maybe, just maybe, that is the absolute truth. In which Tanjiro watches as Akaza runs off and gets away. Tanjiro takes a new leaf in life and really takes that next step forward, wondering and wanting more, not only training and more regimen for himself to get more powerful and stronger, but he wants to know more about Rengoku's family and also the act of sun breathing. And that's what he does, meeting Rengoku's little brother and also his father, learning as much as possible, even though he's taking, that horrible attitude from the Flame Hashira's father. Obviously, his father is thinking, oh yeah, Rengoku's useless, blah, 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 because he died. And this just pisses off Tanjiro, but he knows that he needs to stay completely together and stay focused, and that's what he does, leading to him basically putting himself in kind of like a position to train with sun breathing a lot more and try his best to intertwine sun breathing with his lightning-like powers. And as he does this, it soon shows his power continues to grow, and his power and the power that Rengoku has been speaking about seemingly continues to elevate over and over again, to the point where Tanjiro feels prepared and ready so that when Tengen tries to kidnap Aoi and one of the girls, well, he decides to step in with the three of them, being that of Zenitsu, Tanjiro, and Inosuke, to take an accompany with Tengen on his mission, basically disguising themselves as different wives or different girls. And Tengen is basically wanting to search for his wives and make sure that they're okay and what's happening. And Tanjiro would go through his mini arc, and the other two would as well, as Tanjiro meets a new woman who basically is needed to get brought to safety. But as this is occurring, it seems like Zenitsu is under fire by another demon, or a demon itself that they're going to have to fend against. And Tanjiro would even face off with this said demon by the name of Daki. And Daki is no joke, but Daki is a lot less powerful than Akaza himself. Honestly, it seems as if that Daki isn't even an upper 6 demon. But what Tanjiro doesn't know is that there's another demon within her that is lurking within the shadows. Tanjiro may fight on an even to far higher level playing field once he starts ramping up the pace against Daki, leading to him and Nezuko kind of taking to that next step. Even Nezuko evolving, allowing both of them to strike down Daki to a larger and higher degree. Nezuko showing off a capability that not only makes her more aggressive, more powerful, but also makes her hunger for the flesh of a human. Now, luckily enough, Tanjiro is able to put a handle on this and make it so she calms down just to a certain extent, but Nezuko's new power is definitely something that is beneficial, allowing them to hold off Daki long enough to eventually have Tengen arrive, and in one foul swoop, he would cut the head off of Daki, and they would be thinking that it was over. But Tanjiro knows, he can smell it, and he can tell that this is not your typical upper 6 demon, because the true upper 6 demon is about to arise. And as he does, as Gyutaro would crawl out of Daki and they would both go side by side ready to fight, it seems like there's so much more to do, especially when Inosuke and Zenitsu arrive on the battlefield. Tengen tells Tanjiro to keep his fighting skills sharp, and luckily enough, he doesn't need to defend Tanjiro to a large extent because, well, Tanjiro himself is able to avoid kind of the poison / venom that Gyutaro is actually utilizing. And with the help of Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke being able to fend off Daki for the most part, Tanjiro's lightning abilities and his ability to slow down and stun the battlefield seems to be actually helpful in almost every single regard. And Tanjiro's speed seems to be overwhelming, leading to an eventual plan that would have Tengen fighting Gyutaro one-on-one and Tanjiro looking with Zenitsu to slice the head off of both of them borderline at the same time. Tanjiro coming out of nowhere as Gyutaro would basically give up an opening for him, and Gyutaro would realize that he left one of his blind sides wide open. Tanjiro would come swooping in, and he would slash through in one foul swoop in one of the fastest strikes you'll ever see. One foul swoop slicing off the head of Gyutaro, and also with Zenitsu's help, slicing through Daki's defenses and also her neck as well, leading to a double elimination here, where the demon itself would start evaporating into nothingness, and Tengen stands there with injuries, don't get me wrong, with quite a bit injuries, because he had to fend off Gyutaro, by himself, which is no joke as well. But he has limited injuries, so he's not really in a horrible or kind of a terrible spot in the long run. Now, this does lead to Nezuko revealing her ability to heal and her kind of ability to heal injuries, and Tanjiro's kind of continuation with getting more blood and more of high rank demon blood to Lady Tamayao for a potential cure that eventually will come. But Tanjiro's main goal is to hold on to the words that Rengoku said, that he is the future of all of this, that he is the future of what's going to happen and what's going to be of the Demon Slayers. So when Tanjiro arrives back once again at the Butterfly Mansion, he refuses to quit, and his recovery is quick, and his training would begin once again. And it would get to the point where there isn't that much else for him to continue on with in terms of flat out training. He tries to train with the other Hashira, and really Tengen, who actually is basically retiring, is the only one that is willing to truly work with him. Now, Shinobu is kind of here or there. Giyu is a little bit too shy to do so. The Wind Hashira and the Stone Hashira are kind of at odds with actually helping Tanjiro. Wind Hashira, especially when he, doesn't really like Tanjiro in the first place. But overall, Tanjiro is trying his best to get more powerful and get stronger. And the best way to do that is to arrive at the Swordsmith's village. And the reason for this is because not only is Mitsuri there, another Hashira that he could work with, so is the Mist Hashira, being that of Muchiro. Now, of course, he doesn't really get much help from either of them, and that includes Genya, who is currently at the hot springs when he arrives. But he does realize that there isn't a Yorichi Type 0 that can help him train massively and help him get even stronger than what he's been before. And in doing so, and after it's fixed and all the above, he gets a lot of attention with the Yorichi Type 0, getting stronger and stronger as he progresses, and he hopes that he eventually can live up to what the one and only Rengoku has been saying about him and what Rengoku wants from him. And luckily enough, he would get that chance when he has a chance to take on another high-level demon, a demon that is beyond what he expected, by the name of Hantengu. And it seems like Tanjiro, Nezuko, Genya, and Mitsuri will take on this demon together to see if they can truly defeat him. But the demon has forms that are beyond their even imagination. Forms that range from many different feelings, many different emotions. And it seems like as they combine, as they progress, and as the heads of those demons get chopped off, the powers continuously get stronger and stronger, leading to a absolute terrifying version of who they know as Hantengu, and a terrifying version of this demon that would send earth-like serpents headed their way and would even have lightning-esque powers surging around. But Tanjiro would be able to cut through these with his own lightning abilities, even combining the sun breathing once again to up his level even further. And he's able to keep up and help out with Mitsuri even at a very fast pace, of facing the music of the idea that, even Mitsuri realizes that this guy Tanjiro seems to be closer and closer, probably even already on the level of a Hashira, and his powers of lightning and his abilities with both water breathing and sun breathing seem to be just exceeding all expectations. But the hunt for the actual Hantengu, the one they need to destroy and the one that needs to basically be put in the dirt, is still upon them. They're trying their best to, for the most part, find this creature, find him, because cutting the head off of the one that they've been tracking isn't actually helping. And Nezuko's new form isn't even a match for this either. Yes, she's useful to an extent, but she gets brutally injured during this as well. And Tanjiro finally, after a while and a lot of help from others as well, they finally learn of what's happening, what is going on, and what they need to look for, and that the demons the demon that they're really tracking is actually within the body in a way, and the demon they've been tracking is a very, very, very small manifestation, and that they're trying to find that thing so that they can cut through it and defeat it. And as well, time would pass on, and as the sun would slowly but surely be on its arrival, it seems like Tanjiro finally figures it out, learning of what the demon's thing is, and begins to send slashes toward the demon as well, cutting through the demon multiple times, and even finding the demon, a small one, trying to get away and trying to leave and trying to bide his time so that he can survive and get back to his group of other demons and or Muzan Kibutsuji. But Tanjiro has none of that. He dashes forward without thinking, with the sun arriving and arising. As he's going for this, he slices through the head of the smaller version of Hantengu, and he would eventually behead it with flames and lightning scorching through it. And in one foul swoop, Tanjiro would put and holster his sword once again, and he would sigh in relief. He would look up at the sky, seeing the sun arriving, and then he would realize, Nezuko, what happened? No, what's going on? And he turns. He sees Nezuko burning on the ground, and he goes running toward her, immediately and quickly burning his way through any lightning he can, trying to get to her in an absolute flash. But before he could even do this fully, a hand would come out, and she would stop him, standing up on her own 2 feet, as the burns and the marks would slowly but surely restore, as basically on her face and on her body and on her arms. And it seems like the sun itself no longer is affecting Nezuko Kamado. And this would shock Tanjiro, but on top of that would make him realize that all of this that they've been preparing for, every last bit of it, is basically being pushed forward even quicker than you could imagine. And it seems like Muzan is fully aware of what's going on, and Tanjiro knows that that next step that Rengoku has been talking about, the next step that Rengoku told him in terms of being more powerful, being stronger, and being more prepared, is something he needs to get into borderline right now. And that will ensue when they arrive back at the Butterfly Mansion to train with every last Hashira. Hashira training would be something that Tanjiro not only looks forward to, but something he knows needs to get done. From training with Giyu Tomioka to Tengen Uzui to Muchiro and many, many others, in many different aspects of fighting as well. I mean, even getting beat up by the Wind Hashira and going through intense training with Gyome, he knows that every aspect, every moment, and every single thing he pushes his body toward is the eventual defeat of Muzan Kibutsuji, And this is all to prepare for what they're basically expecting to happen. And while this is happening, Saname, the Wind Hashira, would see something, would see a small eye that is spying on them day in and day out, and he realizes that this fight, this final war, this final Infinity Castle battle is sooner than he thought, because Muzan's already confronting Ubuyashiki, and Ubuyashiki and many and his followers slash people around him are forced to blow up even that same mansion that Ubuyashiki stays in, obviously not killing Muzan, but giving them a little bit of time to prepare themselves for the Demon Slayer's last hurrah, the Demon Slayers versus Muzan himself. But far more than that is upon them. The Infinity Castle is riddled with demons from number 1 to number 2 to number 3 and many, many others, more powerful than the next and more capable than those you could even possibly imagine. And the Demon Slayers have an uphill battle to climb, but Tanjiro is confident that the words of Rengoku and everything he's carried on his shoulders is going to come to a conclusion right here and right now. But the Infinity Castle is something that may need to be gotten into in the future, at least maybe in the near future, because that is where the anime will be ending off. That is where we'll be ending off part 2 of 2 of What If Tanjiro Had Lightning Powers. As always, I did say if you guys really wanted the manga, maybe I would do it. I've seen a couple people say they wanted it. I haven't 100% decided just yet if I wanted to or not wanted to. Now, with that said, if the anime does come out with even a part of that, or a part of the Infinity Castle, there's a good chance I'll just do that, right? And then I'll just do the whole manga and stuff like that. I mean, the series of Demon Slayer itself is almost over, which is kind of sad in a way, because, I mean, I love Demon Slayer. I think many of you, if you're watching the videos, you love Demon Slayer. This channel was, for the most part, built on Demon Slayer 2, right? A part of it was Demon Slayer, part of it was some other stuff. And yeah, it's really all I got to say, though. I hope you guys enjoyed this series, this small series of What If Tanjiro Had Lightning Powers. I have far more for you in the near future. And if you guys enjoyed, please show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.